Hi, welcome back. As I'm using the free trial of the Screenomatic recorder, so they are limited by 15 minutes. So I have to split this lecture into 15 minutes each. Now, yeah, to continue on this chapter 3 on derivatives, now we're going to take a look at some examples, some scenarios. So scenario 1, right? We are looking at this condominium, right? Let's say you want to buy a house, right? And this house is costing you $1.2 million, and you liked it very much, right? So you decided to secure this price, okay, 1.2 million, and you can go into a forward contract, right? You go and sign a forward contract, fix the price in the future that you say that in 3 months' time, I'm going to get this house at this price. 3 months' time, I'm going to get this price at 1.2 million, right? So of course, when you get into this forward contract, you're committed to this price. So 3 months can be quite a long while, right? Anything can happen during these 3 months. The price of the condo can go up, can also go down. So in case, let's say example, if the new price of the condo, let's say it went up because of the demand was high, right? So the supply of this condo running out, so the demand is high, so the price actually been pushed up to 1.5 million. But this doesn't affect you because you have already gone into a forward contract, okay, where you have the rights and the obligation to buy this condo at this 1.2 million, right? And of course, the seller has this, the developer or the seller has the obligation to sell you at 1.2 million, right? Instead of the increased price. So you are, in fact, that's where we call hedge or fix the price, right? For the price that has risen. So you have successfully hedged against increased price in the condominium. Okay, another scenario. This is another scenario, right, where we call options, right? So you can actually get into another derivative, which is the option to purchase, right? So in this case, again, you like the house, right? You really like the house, but maybe you don't have enough money. You just want to check with the bank. You maybe need the bank to evaluate your loan, right? Whether you are able to organize a loan to pay for the house, but you want to book first, right? So what you can do is you can offer the agent a deposit of $1,000, for example, to keep the unit for you for maybe a week. Okay, so you offer the agent a deposit of 1K, right? So in the event if you don't want, you can walk away, but then you forfeit your $1,000, right? Otherwise, the agent will have nothing to hold against. And why would they want to hold the price for you for 1 week? Right? So you got to give the agent, give the developer $1,000 for them to hold the unit and not to sell. Okay, so the options will give you the right to buy the unit, but no obligations, right? So you can still walk away, right? But the only problem is if you walk away, you stand to be penalized for that $1,000 that you put in the deposit. So this is the option. You have the option. So it's unlike just now the forward contract where you have to go through, right? So there's no way out. So that's where you see the two scenario forward contract, right? So you go into a forward contract immediately because you want to go in because you want to fix the price and you know the price might go up in the future. So you want to fix it at the current price at a lower price, right? In view that the price future will go up, right? Of course, there's a risk, right? What happens if the price goes down? Then no choice, or you are fixed at that price, right? Like just now, you fixed at 1.2 million, right? So if the price, the demand fall, right? The supply is more, the housing price drop to instead of 1.2 become $1 million, right? So you have no choice. You still have to buy the house at 1.2, right? Because you have gone into a forward contract. Whereas in the option contract, you have the options to walk away, right? So you can say, okay, give the agent, just now we saw, give the agent $1,000, so the agent can actually hold the house for you for a week, right? Hold the house for you for a week, 1.2 million, right? But you only put 1K, right? But maybe during that 1 week, you find a cheaper unit, cheaper house, you can basically walk away, lose that 1K. But let's say you manage to find a house, similar house at $1 million, right? So you have a saving of $200,000. So what's with that 1K? So you can have the options to decide and then walk away of the contract. So that's the beauty about this option, right? Because you're not so sure, or because of the loan that you're going to take up, you're not sure whether the bank can give you the loan, so you can enter into this option contract first, option to purchase, right? So sometimes there's this option to purchase first. Give you 1 week to consider, give you 1 week to look around, but at the end of 1 week, then the contract will expire, right? If you don't take action, the whoever, the seller, the developer will take your 1 month the $1,000. Okay, another scenario is scenario 3 is also similar. It's call options, right? So let's say you go into a buy call options to buy, right, to buy a house at 1.3 million, right? A friend also like the unit and feel that you have the option to buy. So what happened is maybe later on you decided that you cannot afford, okay, you can walk away, but you can also sell your options to your friend, right? Since you have acquired the options at, as you just saw earlier, $1,000, you can actually sell your option to purchase to your friend who liked it very much at $3,000, right? And what happened is you actually make 2K from the option because you bought it at 1K, and then you can resell it to your friend who willing to purchase the house, right? Purchase the option to purchase from you at 3K, and then you have 3 minus 1, you get $2,000 profit, right? So you basically speculate on the contract, and that is like 200% profit. That's marvelous. So underlying assets. Let me try something. This switch to be me. I am hoping to switch to the PowerPoint. Um, Underlying assets. Okay, so you can see this whole derivative. What's the underlying assets? It's basically the condominium, right? That's where the whole contract, the whole derivatives, the whole agreement is based on the value of the flat. Okay, that's where we are looking at. So talking about underlying or the underlying assets, right? You'll find that actually the underlying assets you actually don't have to deliver at expiry or at maturity, right? You don't have to deliver it. So for example, there's also people who sell derivative from weather, right? Weather. Why is there weather? Right? There are contractors, building contractors that they build building, right? And they want to bet against the weathers, right? Because when it's raining, right? If you have one whole week of rain, what will happen to the building contractor? They cannot pour cement. They cannot start building. The weather will affect their progression, right, in terms of building the house. So they need to buy insurance. They need to buy derivatives like this to help them uh, to bear some of this or mitigate some of these risks, right? When there's bad weather like rainfall, heavy rainfall for the next whole month, right? Which means that the whole month they cannot start work, they cannot have a clear sun, dry weather where they can actually pour cement and get the cement to harden to and start with the basis of foundation for building a house, right? So businesses have all these risks, right? So weather is one of them. You can actually buy a weather, or even like stock indices. Not just when we talk about STI indexes, some of these Dow Jones index, right? So, but all these you cannot actually deliver them, right? They are actually intangible stuff, right? So it's difficult to deliver, right? the derivative contracts of all these non-deliverable underlying is basically settle them in cash or just pay cash, pay insurance, right? Right. There's this technique where when economic is bad, okay, what do you do, right? When doesn't mean that economics market drop, you cannot make money, right? There's this technique I think we mentioned before about short selling, which means you sell first, which means what? You haven't got anything, but you sell first, you know. You sell a product first, you sell a stock first. Actually, you don't own any. You start with the sell, right? So imagine you sell at this point, and then when the market start to drop, then you buy back at a lower price, right? So that is in the event where the market start to fall, right? So you can use this technique of short sell, where you sell first, it's a way of borrowing money, and then you ultimately buy back. You have to buy back to cover the short, right? Otherwise, you are not selling anything, right? So you need to buy back. If you don't buy back, the stock exchange will force you to will buy back for you. At the end of the stock exchange, at the end of the day, they will buy back at a very lousy rate for you, right? So no matter what price, you have to accept that. So it's a risk when you do short selling, right? So short selling is also a kind of speculations. Right, there's another thing that we is very important is called leveraging, contract for differences. Contract for differences. Basically, you try to leverage, right? It's called leveraging, where you basically uh, use a bit of the capital and you try to bet something big, right? In other words, it's like instead of buying the whole value of the shares, right? You only pay a certain percentage, let's say 10% of the cost for owning a stock, and then you can basically trade it. A very good example is like, let's say DBS, right? DBS is about, let's say DBS is $10 share, right? You want to buy 1,000, right? So it's actually 1,000 share. You want to buy a DBS $10 share. To buy that 10 lots or 10,000 shares, you basically have to fork out $10,000, right? But if you use contract for differences, you're basically paying just 10% of the overall cost, which is 10,000. You only pay about 1,000, and you basically also own the contract difference for one lot of DBS share, right? So it's like you own the whole 10,000 shares, right? So basically it's like you use a percentage you leverage, right? So instead of using $10,000, you only use $1,000, right? And if you really have $10,000, you can actually uh, buy the 10,000, okay, which is equate to about 10 lots instead of having one lot, right? So that's actually leveraging, right? So you pay 10% of it, and of course people speculate on this market movement, right? So again, whatever profits or losses on the stock and share, you also will be suffering the same as if you are owning the whole lots of DBS share, whole lot of shares, right? So mm, so where do you buy the contract for differences? Again, you can go to any of those market, right? Or even brokers, stock and share brokers. You find that there's actually the equities where there's normal buying of shares, or you can actually go to the contract for differences, right? They will actually allow you to purchase some of these differences in shares, right? So here we have an example. A contract for investors, they basically want 10,000, right, contract. So the share is $1.68 per share, right? So the whole 10,000 will actually cost you this, right? You will require this. But if you use the contract for differences, you only use 10%. You only require, instead of forking out so much to own this amount, now you only fork out 10% of it to own this amount, right? But whatever happened to this Genting price, you also get, for example, right? This is $1.68. If it goes up to raise up by 50 cents, you will profit $5,000, right? As if you are owning this 100%, right? Using this. So whether contract for differences, right? basically you earn the differences, right? If you drop by 50 cents, you will lose that $5,000. As simple as